We don't have a new Joe. Two Joe.
Oh, Joe.
You ready to go? Yes. Ready to go. Good morning. I'd like to welcome everybody to the August 19th post-commission meeting. Everybody, all the members had a chance to go over the agenda. Mr. Secretary, have you got any changes on the agenda? Does the agenda look correct to you?
Yes, the agenda looks correct.
If there's not any additions or corrections by the members of the commission on the agenda, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Have a motion to second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Administrative matters.
I will call the roll. Commissioner Birchfield. Commissioner Carter.
Here.
Commissioner Cherry. Commissioner Green.
Here.
Commissioner Faulkner.
Here.
Commissioner Forrester. Commissioner Halsey.
Here.
Commissioner Isbell. Present. Commissioner Jackson. Here. Commissioner Russell.
Here.
Commissioner Spangler. Here. Commissioner Wagoner.
Here.
Commissioner Wright.
Here.
Chairman Parton.
Here.
Sir, you have a forum.
And I want to go back to agenda. Being that we have, I notice here in the audience, we have some folks that are in attendance that are on our agenda that need to be downstairs receiving baby sheriff school training. I would like, if it's okay with the board, to move some matters up in the agenda so that they may return back down to the important school that they're in. And that would be on page, I think it's on, what's on page 4?
Page 4. Starts on page 4.
Let's see, I know we have Washington County. And is there anybody else that needs to be downstairs in the sheriff? Is there anybody else in attendance? Just, okay. I would like to move Washington County waivers of basic training and substitution for in-service. If we can move it up on the agenda.
Sure, we can take that first if you'd like.
Okay. All right.
Read the statement first. All post commissioners have previously agreed to recuse themselves from any vote that would constitute a conflict of interest. The most obvious of these would include issues that involve their own departments or some that they know personally. Because they've already agreed to this, it should be noted that on routine matters, it will be assumed non-verbally that these commissioners have abstained from that vote. And bigger, more controversial issues that may have a more overt conflict of interest, may have an appearance of impropriety, those applicable commissioners will still verbally abstain from those votes. So
I just need to, going back to item number 1, adoption of the agenda, I need to make a motion to make an adjustment in the agenda order, moving Washington County up, and they would technically be item number 3.
I'll go back to my original motion.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Secretary's done the disclaimer. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes of the July commission meeting? If you see any additions or corrections that need to be made on those minutes, please notify. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes for July of 22.
I'll make a motion. Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Moving on, Washington County.
Washington County Sheriff's Office requests the Post Commission's approval to attend transition school for John Donald Rose with a hire date of September 1, 2022. Mr. Rose's last date of full-time law enforcement service was May 9th, 2014. Mr. Rose has since worked as an instructor at the Walter State Regional Law Enforcement Training Academy and as a private law enforcement consultant, and has maintained reserve deputy status training with the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office from 2003 to present. They are appearing.
Good morning. Can you introduce yourself, please, sir?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Sheriff Keith Sexton.
as has been stated, I'm here to ask for the waiver for John Rhodes. I took over as the sheriff of Washington County in November, and I'm currently rebuilding a department. And I hope to hire John as my chief deputy.
Any questions from the commission of the sheriff? If not, we'll ask Mr. Rhodes to come up. Introduce yourself, Mr. Rhodes, and tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and your history and what you're asking for this morning, sir.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate your time and allowing me to come and speak with you. My name is John Rose. I'm currently, until the end of this month, working for CTAS, the County Technical Assistance Service. I was here this week to teach at the new sheriff's school and also attend the new sheriff's school, hoping to start employment September 1 with the Washington County Sheriff's Office. During my career in law enforcement that spans from 1985 till 2003, I worked as a police officer and deputy sheriff and left Sullivan County Sheriff's Office as a major. And at that time, I continued my reserve deputy sheriff status. And Sheriff Jeff Cassidy's here along with the training officer from Sullivan County that can attest to the fact that I kept my in-service training and I kept my reserve deputy status throughout that time. For 7 of those years, when I was from Sullivan County, I taught full-time and was a post-certified basic law enforcement academy instructor at Walter State Police Academy. And then I went on to teach classes as a private instructor for about 7 years across the state of Tennessee for both academies, Walter State, also a whole variety of law enforcement agencies. All of my lessons plans were post-approved. Continued to be a reserve deputy sheriff through that time. In 2017, went to work for CTAS as a criminal justice consultant. And through that time, I've taught across the state of Tennessee, from Shelby County to Mountain City, law enforcement officers in criminal justice matters, having classes post-approved, and in that time, maintaining my reserve deputy sheriff status. I'm respectfully requesting the opportunity to go to transition school. I think it'll be a great opportunity to get a refresher. I feel confident that I'll be able to go and be able to help the best I can with Washington County, given the opportunity.
Thank you. Any questions? So I can have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Chief Deputy. All I ask from the chair is that you be available for some additional training
Yes, sir.
in Washington County.
Thank you for your confidence.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Decertification hearings held August 18th, 2022.
We did hold an informal hearing yesterday here at Post in the matter of Norman Butcher of the Union City Police Department. That matter was referred to the full commission. Stephen A. Higginbotham of the Newport Police Department, that was a default order that was approved there. Nolan L. Martin of the Memphis Police Department, again, that was approved default order. Metropolitan Nashville Police Department, Jerem Plastow, that was, approved to move on to the full commission. And then Adam S. Story of the Tennessee Department of Safety, that was an approval of a default order as well.
Any discussion on the decertification hearings held in August? There's no discussion or questions on that. I'll entertain a motion to approve the hearings that we should
Approve all of them.
have a motion to approve all of them. Second.
Second.
Have a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Moving over to page 3 of the agenda, appearing before the commission, waivers for pre-employment requirements.
Bluff City Police Department requests criminal record and military discharge waivers for Joshua Edward Paul, hired July 14th, 2022. On October 21st, 2015, Mr. Paul was charged with wrongful distribution, possession, and use of a controlled substance. The charge was resolved non-judicially. On December 13th, 2016, Mr. Paul was discharged from the United States Army with a general under honorable conditions discharge for failure to disclose injuries sustained prior to joining the military.
Is representatives or members of the Bluff City Police Department with us this morning?
Yes, am audio's coming through yet?
Yes, yes, sir, yes, sir. You're with us.
Okay.
If you could identify yourself and tell us a little bit about the pre-employment background investigation.
Okay, I'm Sergeant Shane Watson, Bluff City Police Department. I'm the GDI for our department, and I have with me today Josh Edward Paul. On 2016, Mr. Paul was discharged from the military for a general and honorable conditions. I request a waiver for that, as well as a criminal record waiver for wrongful distribution and use. That was from 2015. Upon these waivers, we would like to send Mr. Paul to the academy next month at Walter State.
Is Mr. Paul with you this morning by chance?
Yes, sir, he is.
Okay. Is there any questions from the board to the representative of the Bluff City Police Department? Hearing none, is if Mr. Paul could kind of go over with us what was giving here in this situation.
Yes, sir. For the criminal record, I was in boot camp. I had a minor surgery. They gave me Percocet pain medicine. I had a friend in boot camp with me who kept complaining of knee pain. So I gave him one, and somebody told our drill sergeants, and Fort Benning CID launched an investigation and gave me a non-judicial Article 15 punishment, 30 days of extra duty, and 30 days of lost pay.
Okay.
And for the discharge, I did not disclose a disqualifying injury with my recruiter, and it flared up real bad around December of 2016. And I went to the doctor, and they initiated a separation process because I didn't disclose that injury.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Commissioner Russell.
Mr. Paul, was you charged criminally for the controlled substance?
No, sir. From what I understand, the charge is on my record simply because the CID launched an investigation into it.
And the CID is the military CID or the local?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That would be the Fort Benning CID.
Thank you.
Commissioner Holmes.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I can't vote on this because I currently do some work with the Bluff City Police Department. I just want to say that that Mr. Paul has proven himself to be a man of character, and this department certainly needs him, and I'll vouch for his character, and I hope the commission will give serious consideration to it.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes. Any further questions? Commissioner Russell.
I was gonna make the motion to approve it, but if you got a motion.
I do have a few questions first.
All right.
Mr. Paul, you said you had a prescription for the Percocet?
Yes, sir.
In the military's investigation, they got in here wrongful possession of Percocet was founded. How would that have been founded if you had a prescription for it?
From my understanding on the charge, it said wrongful distribution. I did have a prescription for it. I don't know how I could better answer your question, sir.
Okay, just in what we're sitting here looking at it on the Department of Army offenses, it's got distribution of Percocet founded, wrongful possession of Percocet founded, wrongful use of Percocet founded. I was just kind of wondering how we could do that if you had a prescription.
Yes, sir. Yes, I did have a prescription. I wasn't aware that it also said possession. I had a minor surgery while I was there, and they gave it to me for the pain.
This is Chairman Parton. Mr. Paul, what's your status now from these conditions? Have you had any other surgeries, or you had any other conditions that would cause you to have to take controlled substances such as Percocet since this time?
No, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Paul, were you required to notify anybody at the military that you were in possession of the Percocet? Could that be where that came from?
Sir, my drill sergeant, kept track of that.
If I may, commissioners, if you'll look at, and I think most of you already are, the Army's paperwork, section 2B has been redacted, but it also lists the other individual that he gave the substance to. So the findings are that they apply to both of them. So that could be the possession part of it, is that that other individual inappropriately had the medication.
I'll remove my motion to approve.
Have a motion by Commissioner Russell to approve.
I'll second.
Have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Mount Juliet Police Department.
Mount Juliet Police Department requests a criminal record waiver for Timothy Craig Scott, hired June 6, 2022. On May 6, 2017, Mr. Scott was arrested in Fredericksburg City, Virginia, and charged with DWI. On June 15, 2017, Mr. Scott pled guilty and was convicted of DWI. Mr. Scott has since satisfied all court-ordered sentencing, fines, and fees.
Thank you. Mount Juliet Police Department, or is anybody present? Mount Juliet Police Department.
I think it might be the gentleman trying to talk there.
Officer Scott is present, sir. It seems like Sergeant Cook is here also. He's trying to unmute his mic.
Okay.
Yes, I apologize. I just unmuted it. It's fine. It's good.
Okay. Sergeant Cook, can you explain to the board what you're asking for this morning and what you've found out in your pre-employment investigation?
Yes, sir. He was in fact charged with a DWI back in 2017. He's taken care of all of his the consequences for it. What little interaction I've had with Mr. Scott, it's been above average. I see this problem not continuing. I don't see it being a problem at all. I am asking for a waiver for the DWI in 2017 so he can attend the transition school.
Okay. Any questions from the members of the committee of Sergeant Cook? Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
It says in here in your statement that you had to make restitution. Was there a wreck involved?
I'd have to defer that to Tim Scott.
No. This is Officer Scott, sir. No, sir. I think with Fredericksburg City, the way they handle things is you have to pay restitution whenever you have to go to court for something of that sort, like a DUI or something.
Okay, thank you.
I had to pay a $250 fee.
Okay. Further questions from the board to Mr. Scott?
Mr. Scott, could you tell us the events surrounding the arrest?
Yes, sir. It was May 5th going into May 6th of 2017. I was out at a bar drinking with buddies. It kind of got a little bit more than I thought it would. My friend simply just needed a ride home. His current ride I had already left, so I just offered a ride home. And as soon as we got into the car, maybe 1 or 2 minutes later, as soon as we passed the first red light, that's when I got pulled over. And that's when we went through sobriety and everything else. And I ended up getting cuffed for a DUI. Talked to my lawyer. I got a lawyer immediately. We had the court case in June, pled guilty to it. And that's when I ended up having to get an interlock in my car for a year. I was working at the time, so I actually got my license restricted instead of suspended. Had to pay restitution to the city of Fredericksburg, along with paying court fees. And then I was on a 3-year probation, which all of that is completed as of 2020.
And what was your blood alcohol level?
I want to say it was a 0.13.
And you wasn't charged with anything else?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Any further questions of the committee?
I've got.
Commissioner Wright, you're recognized.
Mr. Scott, what was the reason for the stop?
The officer said that I ran a red light.
I have a question.
Commissioner Wagner.
Mr. Scott, what is your drinking habits since this happened?
Honestly, I don't really drink anymore. Between work, that kind of scarred me also. And then also I have little girls now. I have a 5-year-old and I have a 5-month-old twins. Between not having time to do it with taking care of them and just the events that happened and the consequences I had to pay for my actions, I'm not really interested in it anymore. So I just hang out with my family, work out, hang out with my girls.
What have you been doing since since this happened, and before you went to work as a police officer?
Say that once again, please.
What's your prior work history?
Before getting to Mount Juliet, I was a transfer from Fairfax County PD. I worked there for a couple years. And before that, I played professional football from 2014 to 2019. So those were my only two careers. As soon as I finished football, that's when I went straight into law enforcement.
This happened when you were with Fairfax County?
No, sir. It happened when I was with the NFL. I was currently with the New York Giants.
Okay, I understand.
Any other questions from the members? Now, Julie, do you have any other, any additional comments or anything before we call for a vote?
He's like I said before, he's been an upstanding officer. We have talked in depth about this. This is not going to happen again. I believe the fact that he was in the NFL played I believe a part, but with him having just a family like that and all of his friends are cops now, I don't see it being an issue. Tim's a really great guy, and we're happy to have him.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Sir.
I'll entertain a motion for the direction that you would want to go in this.
Make a motion to disapprove.
I'll second it.
I have a motion to disapprove and a second. Any discussion on the motions?
Discussion point. He has been working with Mount Juliet for how long? Sorry,
Since June.
June. And what role has he been playing?
Right now, yes, sir. He's gone through his FTO program, and we're just right now waiting to try to send him to transition school so we can get him by himself.
In Mount Juliet PD, you knew all this before you hired him?
Yes, sir. It came up in the background. Yes, sir.
And you did the background before you actually hired him?
Yes, sir.
So they put a lot of time and effort in it. I tend to be a little more lenient about that. Time-wise, it's not gone that far, but his whole life has changed from star kind of issue to the police officer thing, and sergeant talked really highly of him. And that's just sort of the discussion part that I got.
Thank you, sir. Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No. Roll call.
Commissioner Carter.
I can't vote no.
Okay. Commissioner Green.
No.
Vice Chair Faulkner.
Yes.
Commissioner Halsey.
Aye.
Commissioner Isbell,
No.
Commissioner Jackson,
No.
Commissioner Russell, Commissioner Spangler,
No.
Commissioner Wagner,
No.
Commissioner Wright, Chairman Barton.
No.
Motion fails.
I make a motion, we approve.
Second.
Have a motion to approve and a second to approve. Is there any discussion on that motion? And I'll go ahead and have a conversation with this, real short while. To all agencies, this section is called pre-employment for a reason. It's called pre-employment. That's before you go to your HR. It's before you start putting a uniform on them. That's before you do anything. You bring these people to this board so that you don't go out of here with somebody's family affected that they didn't get a job, that they could not continue that job. That's my discussion. We've got to get these agencies to submit these names to this organization so that we can hash these issues out before somebody gets denied and the city has to let them go. We need to know this ahead of time. Teresa, it's called pre-employment. Anyway, I'll call for the vote.
Explain the motion again, please.
The motion is to approve the waiver for this individual chief. If you vote yes, it means this gentleman will continue to work for Mount Juliet Police Department as a police officer. If you vote no, the waiver will fail. Any other discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Roll call.
Commissioner Carter abstains. Commissioner Green.
Aye.
Commissioner Halsey.
No.
Commissioner Isbell.
Aye.
Commissioner Jackson.
Aye.
Commissioner Russell.
No.
Commissioner Spangler.
Aye.
Commissioner Wagner.
Aye.
Commissioner Wright.
No.
Vice Chair Faulkner.
No.
Chairman Parton.
Yes.
It passes.
Motion passes. Thank you, Mount Juliet.
Thank you.
Moving on. Sullivan County Sheriff's Office.
Sullivan County Sheriff's Office requests reconsideration for a criminal record waiver for Matthew Hunter Johnson, hired February 24th, 2021. On August 22nd, 2016, Mr. Johnson was arrested in Bristol, Tennessee, and charged with driving under the influence. On September 16th, 2016, Mr. Johnson pled guilty to driving under the influence. Mr. Johnson has since satisfied all court-ordered fines and fees.
And I think this is for reconsideration. Is that my understanding? Is?
Yes, sir, Sheriff.
Good morning, Sheriff. How are you, sir? Hope you've had a good, long, safe travel.
Yes, sir. I sure have. First and foremost, I want to thank every one of you for having us here today. No disrespect for trying this waiver. We had some technical difficulties last time, but I just wanted to tell you, as you know, since I've been elected, I just went up here. This is my first time for a waiver for a DUI. I have some stances and some hard feelings on that myself, and I realize you get an officer in here that does a great job for me in the corrections division. Keeps a good attitude. He's got job skills, knowledge, abilities. He's just going to flourish wherever he goes. So we are requesting a waiver for his DUI, and I know it was in 2016. So it's still kind of new. I think this individual, I'll take all responsibility and liability for him. I think he's learned from his lessons. He's been accountable for his responsibilities, and he's done a great job for his correction division. And keeps a He's a great attitude, just does a fantastic job, and I think we'll do the same for him as controls. I'll let Mr. Johnson answer any questions for you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Is there any questions from the commission to the sheriff or reference this reconsideration request?
When was the original?
It's July of 2020, it's a little bit over a year.
Any further questions of the sheriff or Mr. Johnson? Mr. Johnson, you want to come forward and
Yes, sir.
give a few words?
Yes, sir. I understand. I'm asking a lot of the commission today for this waiver. When the incident occurred, I was 23 years old. The young man probably started in law enforcement a little too early at that time. Looking back on it, I'm glad I did. Getting a lot of life experience through it. Now, as an older man, almost 30 years old, since that incident occurred, I've tried to do nothing but better myself. I've worked in law enforcement. I got back into law enforcement once I completed all requirements of work in 2018 and went to work for the Tennessee Department of Corrections at a prison. Tried to find an employment closer to my house, went to work for the Carter County Sheriff's Office. While working for the Carter County Sheriff's Office, I went through a similar process with the TCI for that basically administrates jails and correctional facilities in the state. I obtained a criminal waiver similar to this through them at that time. Wanted to come work for the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office. That's where I live, and that's where I wanted to work. Since then, I've just tried to maintain a good attitude, try to be a hard worker, and try to show that I'm worthy of a second chance to get my certification back and continue to work in law enforcement capacity. My personal life's changed quite a bit. As you go through your 20s into your 30s as a young man, you learn to shift your priorities in a lot of ways. Your focus shifts from not having fun so much, but more to trying to move on, to try to make a career for yourself, try to build a family, try to do things that you can be proud of when you're older in life. I've re-entered college since that time, completed almost an associate's degree at this point, looking to enter into a bachelor program to obtain a bachelor's of business administration is what I plan to do. But I want to continue working in law enforcement, just have the education, have that achievement. I've also just shifted my priority to, like I said, focus on building a career, and that's what I want to do here. I just want the opportunity to continue to work in law enforcement, to continue to further my career, and get back into something that I love.
And did I hear you say you also some time ago had to appear for a waiver before the Tennessee Corrections Institute Board before you worked as a corrections officer?
I did, sir.
And that's something I would also say that's something very rare you hear, because they have the same rules that basically we do. And I would say 8 out of 10 times that doesn't happen a lot, because it ends up in our lap. We hear in our cases that they haven't been to TCI. So that stands a lot for what you and the departments did to get you before that board.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions of Mr. Johnson from the board? Commissioner Wright.
Mr. Johnson, can you explain some circumstances surrounding that DUI and refresh our memory on that?
Yes, sir. Circumstances of right before the incident occurred, race weekend in Bristol, had a NASCAR race that comes up there twice a year. I was working for the Bristol Tennessee Police Department at the time. Basically the day going into the morning of the incident that happened, I worked roughly like a 16-hour shift between doing traffic control, doing other police duties down at the actual NASCAR function. Went home, slept 3-4 hours, and I had some other obligations. I had to take care of some family stuff. And then I had actually went out to dinner with a buddy of mine. We were co-workers at the police department. We'd had a situation where we'd had a pretty bad shooting a couple weeks before. He wanted to discuss it, wanted to exchange some information and things on it, and just kind of mentally turn it over. After that, we had decided to go get a beer. After that, I'd had a couple of beers. I'd felt so tired because I'd been asleep after working 16, 17 hours in a day. Went home and I'd slept 3 or 4 hours, and I was exhausted. Shouldn't have been in that condition. I should have just even stayed home that night, looking back on it now. And unfortunately, I tried to drive home. I ended up actually driving to a local business and fell asleep in the parking lot, and that's when I was arrested.
Any further questions?
I do, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, Commissioner.
Mr. Johnson did, I don't see it anywhere, but did Bristol PD go after your certification at all then?
No, sir. The circumstances of me leaving the department, I knew what I'd done. I tried my best to accept the responsibility for what I'd done. I knew I made a terrible mistake. And I had basically just went to the department, chose to resign, and I told them that I wasn't trying to avoid anything. I was trying to own responsibility for what I'd done. I know I've made a mistake. I wish I could go back and change it, but I can't. I tried to own it then as much as I own it today. I've tried to do nothing since that time, but just to face facts, accept what I did, accept responsibility, and move on and try to atone for it since then.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
Mr. Chairman, for the record, I have to abstain on this one. That's my county.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Any further discussion, questions, concerns? Yes, sir, Commissioner.
Just a comment. I've had the pleasure to work with Sheriff Cassidy for the last couple of years on the advisory council. He runs a professional department, as many of you know. It's an accredited department. For him to be here today, standing side by side with him, speaks volumes to me personally. So I just want to express that with the knowledge of his department and how professional it is.
Thank you. Okay, no further discussion. I'll entertain a motion as the direction you want.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion on the motion to approve? Hearing no discussion, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Roll call.
Commissioner Carter. Commissioner Green.
Aye.
Commissioner Halsey abstains. Commissioner Isbell.
Aye.
Commissioner Jackson.
Aye.
Commissioner Russell.
No.
Commissioner Spengler.
Aye.
Commissioner Wagner.
Aye.
Commissioner Wright.
No.
Vice Chair Faulkner. Chairman Barton. That motion passes.
Thank you, congratulations.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.
Don't do the sheriff right now.
I want to thank you all again for the time. It's the second time. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
I'm expecting a lot of this done. Thank you.
Thank you. Waivers to attend another academy, Cleveland State Law Enforcement Training Academy.
The Cleveland State Law Enforcement Training Academy requests a waiver to change academies for Ethan Caleb Whaley. In July of 2022, Mr. Whaley attended the Tennessee Law Enforcement Training Academy but was unable to complete the training due to a medical issue. Cleveland State Law Enforcement Training Academy is requesting the waiver so Mr. Whaley may attend their academy in August 2022.
Okay, somebody representing Cleveland State or Mr. Whaley present this morning.
Mike Hodges, Director of the Training Academy here at Cleveland State.
Okay, and is Mr. Whaley present?
I am, sir.
Okay, thank you. Can you talk to the board a little bit about this request?
So I'm requesting the change of academy waiver to go to Cleveland State. So basically the events that took place was I started the academy up at Donaldson on July the 10th, and during physical activities, I experienced tightness in my chest, wheezing, shortness of breath, things like that during PT. Got checked out by the paramedics. They cleared me to go back. Monday morning during PT, kind of the same issue going on. And after talking to the director, he decided for safety to go ahead and release me from the program. Upon returning home, I went to the doctor. They ran some tests, come to find out all it is exercise-induced asthma. They prescribed me an inhaler. I used the inhaler, went for a run the next morning and felt great. So I believe the issue has been resolved.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Congratulations. Thank you. Hope you get feeling better.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Moving on, Jellicoe Police Department.
Jellicoe Police Department requests a waiver to change academies for Nicholas Andrew Lowe. In September of 2021, Mr. Lowe attended the Tennessee Law Enforcement Training Academy, but was unable to complete the training due to illness. Jellicoe Police Department is requesting the waiver so Mr. Lowe may attend Walter State Law Enforcement Training Academy in September of 2022.
Thank you. Is Mr. Lowe present?
Yes, sir.
Oh, come forward, please. Good morning.
Morning, everybody. Thank you for your time having me here this morning.
Can you identify yourself for us?
Nicholas Andrew Lowe,
Okay.
Police Department.
Thank you. And can you go over with the board a little bit of what's happened here and what you're requesting?
Yes, sir. So I was hired to the police department last July. Finished my time from the County Sheriff's Office. I was the CEO there. When I started with the police department, I was tested positive for COVID on August 10th. I was set to go to Toledo October 4th. I attended the orientation late September. I was trying to get myself physically ready for the academy. And after the COVID, it was difficult to walk on flat ground or so much as a flight of stairs. I had difficulties for 6 months after I tested positive. The air hurt to breathe. It was no barrier hurt. It was just still painful, honestly. So I did 6 months. I was down, had a cough, barely could speak. I got somewhat even winded. It was sometimes I caught my breath. It was an ordeal.
Motion to approve.
Second. A motion and a second to approve. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Metro Nashville Police Department.
The Metropolitan Nashville Police Department requests a waiver to change academies for Dakota Lynn Starr Lobertini, hired August 16th, 2022. In August of 2016, Ms. Lobertini attended the Tennessee Law Enforcement Training Academy, but was unable to complete the training due to failing the driving course. Metro Nashville PD is requesting the waiver so Ms. Lobertini may attend their academy.
Thank you. Is anybody with Metro present with us today?
Lieutenant Michael Vaughn from Metro Nashville Police Department.
Good morning, Lieutenant. Can you give us, or your officer give us a update as to what you're requesting?
She should be on here as well to explain her circumstances more in detail, but we're requesting her to join our academy based on the fact that she started previous law enforcement academy in Tennessee. We're requesting a waiver to get her to start ours.
Okay. Ms. Dakota, can you tell us a little bit about the request?
Yes, sir. So I attended the academy back in August of 2016, and due to the police department I was with at the time, Clarksville Police Department, their policy at the time was if you fail any of the 3 activities in the academy, shooting, driving, or defensive tactics, they automatically terminate you. But I was informed that it was not a full termination. If I wanted to, I could go back after some time to that police academy or to their department and possibly try to get rehired. But unfortunately, there was nothing I could do to move on with the academy and go back and try and test again. So I was just terminated.
Okay. Any questions from the commissioners?
Motion to approve.
A motion to approve.
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ripley Police Department.
The Ripley Police Department requests a waiver to change academies for Jordan Tyree Gauss, hired July 17, 2022. In August of 2016, Mr. Gauss attended the Tennessee Law Enforcement Training Academy, but was unable to complete training due to a family emergency. Ripley Police Department is requesting the waiver so Mr. Gauss may attend the Knox County Sheriff's Office Regional Training Academy.
Thank you. Any representatives from Ripley? Is Officer Gauss present? Any discussion from the members? Don't seem to have anybody online or present.
Motion to approve it.
Have a motion to approve it.
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. We can go on. We've took care of Washington County. We can move over to page 5.
Post-reviewed and administratively approved 29 post-transition school waivers and all corresponding supporting documents. The reported documents appear to be in order and meet or exceed the minimum standards set forth by the Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission. The following requests were reviewed and appear to meet post requirements. Stephen Edward Mata, Calvin Ray Anderson Sr., Ryan James Arendt, Jason Lane Belk, Derek Jeffrey Dragon, Lauren Catherine Early, Paul Francis Varela, Brian Christopher Glenn, Christopher Wayne Lauper, David Michael Lerner, Kenneth Eugene Lloyd, Alexandria Renee Marshall, Elijah Colin Mastortis, Ronnie Edward Moore, Tyler Rhodes Nelson, Christopher Lauren Neufeld, Kenneth Francis Offing, James Bruce Paget, Robert Perkins, Ethan Daniel Robinson, Eon Roland Rohrbaugh, Crystal Janice Sheets, Aaron Lee Smith, Christy Ann Tizard, Clinton Valentine, Peter Johans Van Court, Randy Eugene Vigas, Kyle Mason Wilking, Paul Burdette Williams. In addition, post-reviewed and administratively approved 3 solo waiver requests based on some recently expired governor's orders. Those are Ronnie Edward Moore, Robert Perkins, Tavorin Damarel Robinson. Administrative matters, we have no waivers of in-service. It's a bit of a change from the past few months. Waivers of the 6-month rule. The following departments are requesting a waiver of the 6-month rule to keep their officers and their department in compliance. Macon County Sheriff's Office requests a 6-month waiver for Jason Ray Vinson, hired November 15th, 2021. January of 2022, Mr. Vinson attended the Tennessee Law Enforcement Training Academy and again in April of 2022, but was unable to complete the training due to a medical and academic issue. Mr. Vinson is currently re-enrolled at the Tennessee Law Enforcement Training Academy as of July 2022.
Any questions? I'll entertain a motion. I don't think anybody's appearing from Macon County today, is there?
Motion to approve.
A motion to approve.
Second.
Second. Any questions or discussions on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. Metro Nashville Airport.
Metropolitan Nashville Airport Department of Public Safety requests a 6-month waiver for Austin Matthew Hoffman, hired March 28, 2022. Mr. Hoffman attended the Tennessee Law Enforcement Training Academy in July of 2022, but was unable to complete the training due to academic issues. Mr. Hoffman is currently scheduled to re-attend the Tennessee Law Enforcement Training Academy in October of 2022.
Any discussion? Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. A motion to approve and second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
We have no waivers of the 8-month rule, no waivers for medical, and 0 waivers for military leave. Applications for training officer. Post investigators have reviewed and approved 5 applications for training officer, and they appear to meet the criteria for approval. Alyssa Jordan Coppinger, listed on your agenda, will be informed that they have 1 year to complete the instructor development course or approved substitute.
Any discussion? Have a motion to approve, a second. Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Applications for certified instructor.
Post investigators reviewed and approved 18 applications for a certified instructor, and they appear to be in order and meet minimum standards, and they've completed the minimum hours and attendance of those required courses. There are none that need 1 year to complete the instructor development or approved substitute. However, the following officers request a waiver of the 1 year training officer requirement: Herman Kelly Blevins, Amanda Marie Guerin, and Wesley Adam Moore.
Any discussion?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Curriculum and test.
Post investigators have reviewed and approved 90 in-service and specialized training classes this month that appear to be in order and meet or exceed minimum standards set forth by post requirements. They have made note if these training offerings meet the post requirements for mandated topics.
Motion to approve.
A motion, second, discussion. None, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Moving on to page 9, old business. Bethel Springs Police Department.
Bethel Springs Police Department, follow-up in-service waiver request for Damian Lamar Blue, hired August 15th, 2015. Mr. Blue was late in submitting the required 2021 in-service training and requested by the commission to return with evidence of completing the training. All training has been submitted as of August 4th, 2022. The waiver will allow both the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with post guidelines.
Thank you. Is representatives from Bethel Springs Police Department or Officer Blue present?
Present, sir.
Okay, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you?
All right. Can you tell us what happened with the late submittal?
There was a mix-up with the firearms portion with the paperwork that I had received from the firearms instructor. It was more or less just a paperwork issue, was not submitted correctly. We did, Investigator Cooper and I, she was a great asset in helping me track down the error. We got it corrected, got it resubmitted, and everything is in and submitted to ACADIS and is in compliance.
Okay, thank you. Investigator Cooper lay in good standing. It's nice to know that she is a valuable investigator to help you get that correct.
Absolutely, sir.
Any questions of the board?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve.
Second.
A second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Supplement or not pay him supplement?
Was that motion with the pay the supplement or without? That's with.
That's with the pay supplement, because
That's
it
with.
appears to be that he done it, just wasn't turned in in time.
Okay. Everybody understand that was indicate to be paid. Okay. Thank you. Yes, sir. New business items for discussion. Loudoun County Sheriff's Office.
The Loudoun County Sheriff's Office requests the Post Commission's approval to forego basic police school for Patrick Brady Bowers. Mr. Bowers' last date of full-time law enforcement service was March 30th, 2015. Loudoun County Sheriff's Office is requesting a waiver for Mr. Bowers to attend transition school.
Loudoun County, front and center. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Talk to us a little bit about this.
I'm Lieutenant Bowen with the Loudoun County Sheriff's Office under the new GDI. I've requested a waiver after doing a background check. Everything came clean. He is so far in good standing.
Last employment was March 30th, 2015.
Yes, sir.
Who was that with?
Monroe County Sheriff's Department.
What have you been doing in between time?
Since then, I started working at a aluminum factory. I worked there for about 6 years. Then I moved over to a steel factory, which shut down about 2 months ago. Started talking to my people and now I'm here.
Not done any long, you just went cold turkey after 15?
Yes.
When did you go through the academy originally?
2011.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Mr. Bowers is from my county, so I have to abstain on this vote, but I've known him ever since he's worked for the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. He done a terrific job there, and from my understanding, Loudoun County is just shorthanded right now. They're needing the people, and if I could vote for him, I would. He's a good person, he's a good officer.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
Roll call.
Commissioner Carter.
Aye.
Commissioner Green.
Aye.
Commissioner Halsey.
Aye.
Commissioner Isbell.
Aye.
Commissioner Jackson.
Aye.
Commissioner Russell, present not voting or abstaining. Commissioner Spangler.
Aye.
Commissioner Wagoner.
Aye.
Commissioner Wright.
No.
Vice Chair Faulkner.
No.
Chairman Parton. Aye. Motion passes.
Motion passes, and hope you haven't forgot how to go tonight.
No.
Okay, thank you.
The UT Chattanooga Police Department, Kenneth Eugene Lloyd, was hired on May 20th, 2021. However, Post did not receive the required paperwork until July 14th, 2022.
Anybody with UT Chattanooga PD?
Captain John Bowe, I'm the GDI here at the University of Tennessee Chattanooga Police Department.
Good morning. Can you tell the commission a little bit about what happened?
This role over last year from the had some success getting a couple folks into the transition academy and 3 or 4 into that. Mr. Eugene Lloyd and his law enforcement career in 1983 in served over 20 years in the National Guard. This is getting his paperwork together, the packet to submit to Post. Colorado has a curriculum, and they don't save those documents in a period for more than a 3-year period of time. And their academy apparently changes periodically. And trying to, but they were sent back to me, and then at some point, Dexter Mine with that gentleman and forward him a lot of his training and a lot of the curriculum, and even some of the.
And he did actually submit it in September.
One of those individuals who saved all of his training documents and all those efforts. We didn't hear back from Mr. Mines for a couple months, and then Mr. Bello assisted me with some of that same. Transition class, but I'd take full responsibility.
Yes, sir. Thank you. You're having a little technical difficulties getting your signal over the mountain to Nashville. I'm gonna let Mr. Bello fill in and for you here a little bit, okay? All right.
UTC PD actually submitted that paperwork to us on September 3rd of 2021. There was some missing paperwork from Colorado that former Assistant Director Mines was working with UTC to get. We dropped the ball on that. GDI Bo reached out to me to see what we could do to get that fixed. We reached out to Colorado Post, got the necessary paperwork. It's all been processed and approved, and Mr. Lloyd is registered to start transition school on Monday.
So everything's in up to par in your eyes. Commissioner Russell.
I just had a question. If the Post received it on September the 3rd and is hired back in May, when should he had sent it to Post? Is September a correct date?
No, it was late when he said it in September, but he did submit the proper paperwork and documentation that it was late back in September of last year.
And is any of this affects his in-service pay?
It does not.
He would not be eligible for in-service pay because he is employed by the state.
I'll make the motion to approve this.
Have a motion to approve. Second. Have a second. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you. Good luck, Captain.
Thank you, sir.
I think that brings us down to the end of our docket, and any other members have anything that we skipped or missed? If not, it's good being with all of you this morning, as usual, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll indicate by getting up and leaving.